therefore get more money. I don't think it's the people who make Bluey. I think it's our insane ideas about intellectual property. Oh, don't try to reach my phone. Reach my phone. It's not dead, is it? Oh, it's not on. Well, you know what? You know what? You better get it together. Just kidding. That was triggering. I always pretend like I'm acting like a toxic boss or something, or coach. And then I'm like, that doesn't feel good. Let's not do that anymore. No, I wonder if I have Twitch on here. If not, we're not going to worry about it tonight. Wonderful. Okay, no worries. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to change this to my headphones, which are on. And I'll put Bluey on my headphones because if I have to just listen to myself talk, I'm going to have a meltdown. That's too much. It's too much for me to think about. Okay. All right, Willie, we got 3 minutes. You think we can make it? I think we can make it. I think we're going to make it. Except for you're sitting on everything. Oh, there's my lighter. Bluey! Alrighty, let me find us some music. Nice. Okay, perfect. I've got the text stream up. Oh, Sippy's back! Okay, I got that. Y'all can text me. This is up. Let's see, it is connected to my headphones, so I'm going to hear it. Perfect. I'm going to try to flip back and forth on the live stream to make sure I get comments. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of my emo look here. Okay. I look like I've been crying or have had a really hard day. It's just sewing for hours on end. So, don't worry, guys. I'm okay. No one's hurt me. At least not any more than I hurt myself. It hurts because it's true. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I look like I've been sewing all day. But you know what? It is 7 o'clock, and we've all been working today. So, we're supposed to look like this. Okay, if you're getting on the live stream with me, you're just getting on here. We are going to start in 1 or 2 minutes. We're not going to be those freaking people who are like, it's 7 o'clock and we're starting. Okay, calm down. Calm down, Deborah. Okay, no, we're not doing that. Jeez. We're just, ooh. We are being gentle with ourselves and each other. So, we're going to get started in about a minute or two. I'm going to figure out why I can't hear. Let me turn my headphones off and back on. Of measuring device. I hope you could hear me. Oh, my thing you should be able to hear me. Let me make sure. Let me switch my audio to make sure it is pulling from my headphones. Yes, we're good. Okay. So, everybody try to find some type of measuring device. If you can't find anything, like grab a piece of paper. It's fine. We will figure it out. This is not crazy. There's only one way to do something, class. That drives me crazy. So, Something to measure with. Then something to cut. These are sewing shears. You don't need these crazy sewing shears. Anything that cut, well, okay, don't get a knife, obviously. Anything that has two blades and a hinge that will cut your jeans, that's fine. Okay. I'll show you all the different tools that I use and why I use certain tools and da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's going to be a good time. I also want everybody to make sure you have a drink and everyone needs to have a snack because the rule that I tell all my lessons is that while we create, we eat and snack because if we don't, we pass out. And that's incredibly true for me. So everybody, go get you a snack, get you a drink, put yourself on something cozy. I'm in my emotional support hoodie, so get something cozy on. Apparently, Bluey is not in the cards for me to watch. Let's see if I can watch Frasier. That's my other emotional support show right now. Okay. My dad kicked me out of Hulu. Man, I am having to suffer in silence today, man. Let me see if I can do it from my phone. Take your time if you're just getting in. We're all getting drinks and we're all getting snacks. And we're getting into comfy clothes. If you've just got on here and you're about to start and you're like, oh, I just wish my dad kicked me out of Hulu on all my devices. Thanks, Dad, if you're watching. Okay, and we're going to cast this. Da, 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 da. If you haven't watched Bluey, I highly suggest it. And if you have Disney Plus, you have Bluey, so put that on real quick. We'll all watch it together. I don't know why my internet is not doing this. But all good. Okay. Da, 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 da. We'll do HBO Max. Something has to work. We started watching The Righteous Gemstones last night, and 10 out of 10 recommend, particularly if you grew up in West Texas. It's very soothing, and I really, really like it. Okay. You know, we're going to put on Our Flag Means Death, because apparently nothing else wants to work. Oh, it's because the Wi-Fi is not working. Is the Wi-Fi really not working? It's working. Nope. Because apparently I'm supposed to just suffer in silence. Our Wi-Fi is weird. We'll put it on the Den TV. Okay. No, not the Den TV. I want it on the family TV. There we go. So we can all hear it. Da, 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 da. So I'm just putting some music on. All right, if you're just getting on, please go get yourself a drink. Go get yourself a snack. We're just putting on some music. If you're just hurrying to get on, it's up 7:05. We'll start in a few seconds. Putting on some music, getting ourselves a snack, which I have not done. Let me grab something. And then we'll get started. If you come in at any point or have to leave, don't panic. Okay, chillax. We're going to record this, so you have it even if you miss something. Okay? Don't worry about taking notes. Don't worry about missing something. I'm not gatekeeping information. Everyone can have this information. It's not a government secret. Okay. Here we go. Alrighty. We are doing pants hymns today. And I'm getting my second camera going. Y'all about to get a good close-up shot of Willie. This is Willie's cuddle time, so we all appreciate Willie sacrificing his cuddle time for us tonight. Thank you, Willie. You're so generous. We appreciate you, buddy. This class is brought to you for free by Willie and his generosity. All right. Let me turn the camera on. All right, it's loading. Give it just a second. All right, so, excuse me, baby boy. Alrighty. So, let me make sure we didn't get disconnected. We shouldn't because I'm plugged in, but I just want to make sure. Yep, we're good. Okay. Let me. Oops. Technology never works when I'm getting started. I hear somebody giving me a comment. Give me just a second. If you're just getting on, don't worry, we're about to get started. I am putting the camera together because it's being a turkey. We all need to have a snack. We all need to have a drink. My phone camera was like, you know what? You know what? We're going to get really loud. Okay, there we go. All right, so there's our secondary camera, so you can see what I'm doing. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. I am still figuring out the commenting system because we are live on Twitch, we are live on YouTube, on 3 different Facebooks. So please feel free to comment, but if I don't get to your question, I put my number in the comments, so just text me. I have my phone set up to my bubble. And Alejandro's calling me right now. Alright. So, here we go. I'm going to start recording. Alright, here we go. Grab your jeans. Start munching on your snack. Alrighty. I'm going to move this guy over a little bit. Alright, so I'm using white denim today because I wanted you guys to be able to see everything I was doing really clearly. I'll make this a little bigger. I want you to be able to see like all the marks, all the different things that I'm doing. So these are jeans. They're just white. Okay. So, hemming jeans is relatively simple. There are several ways to hem jeans. I have some examples that I'm just going to show you guys. Alrighty, so we've got your basic hem that we're going to do tonight. Okay, this is done with Levi Gold. You can see the gold right there. This is what we're going to do tonight. This is what it looks like in the back. Very simple, very straightforward hem. Doesn't require money. It doesn't require a lot of sewing experience. You just need to know how to sew straight, basically. Alright, this is a Euro hem. This is probably a more challenging one. You also probably need to have a serger just to make it feel better. But I'm going to try to do that without a serger. I'm working on it. This is a cuffed hem. We have a nice, pretty overlap here. I think these are super cute. I also like to actually make a cuffed hem that's sewn down because I don't like when my cuffs unroll. And then I've got like one leg up in the air and I've got one just doing nothing. Okay, now this is a regular hem, and this is just denim thread that you see on there, so that way it doesn't show. This is a fabric hem, which is very fun. This is basically just making your hem out of any type of cute fabric, so you can have this cool contrast. It's a very 70s look. I like it very much. And then this is a fringe hem. There you go. This is a fringe hem, which is very much just distressed at the bottom. You can see that that's what this is at the moment, the ones that I'm about to work on. Okay, so there's our hems. So let's see here. So hems are very basic. First, you just need to figure out where you want it. So in terms of when you try it on, especially if you're doing it for yourself, what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to mark the spots that you want it to be. So you're going to try it on. And once you try it on, if you're like, okay, this is where I like it, don't try to like fold it. Just mark where you like it to end. Like right, we'll do one right there. And then we'll do one right here. This is not rocket science. This is not chemistry. Like, it is very rudimentary engineering. And, like, it's just, it's a lot of trial and error. That's what I tell all my sewing lessons. This is trial and error. We don't sit there and hate on ourselves because most of sewing is just tackling stuff you don't know how to do and figuring out how to do it, which is why I like it so much. But you have to learn how to not hate yourself for doing it, which is not easy. I fell into that today when I was working on a prom dress. It happens. No big deal. We're just trying to be better. Okay. Here we go. I just check on the chats, make sure we're good to go. Do 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 do. Okay, I texted Alejandro just to make sure that like nothing crazy is happening that I need to help with. Okay, so we're good. Here we go. So what we need to do first is we need to see what the average is of where we pinned. Okay, so this is going to vary greatly depending on the mood you're in when you pinned it. If you're super careful, they're going to be close together and more precise. If they're not close together, like it's fine. You know, some of us are just like, meh. The more you understand sewing, the more, the less precise you're gonna have to be because you just get it. Okay, so what we need to do first is, let me angle this down a little more for everybody, is we're just going to be measuring each one to see how far it is. Now, this is a little crazy because this one was already cut at an angle, so I'm gonna go ahead and just cut that relatively straight. There we go. Okay, so this one is at 3 3/4. This one is at 4 inches. This one is at 3 1/4. And our back one here is 4 inches. All right, so we're gonna just jot this down right quick because it's just easier for us to figure out. And if you haven't done any kind of math, or if you haven't done this as much as I do, don't worry. It's not that hard. Okay, so we had 3 3/4. We had 4 inches. We had, oops, got a little message. Let me check to make sure no one has a question. Okay, and then we have 3 1/4. And then we had 4 inches. All right, cool. So what we're trying to see here is either what's the most common, I'll hold this up for you guys. Okay, so those were where our, one day I'll understand the mechanics of using a camera. Okay, so these are the measurements we had of where our pins were. So now we need to figure out well, what's the most common measurement, or what's kind of like, what is our median? Okay. So I would say, like, the average, that tends to, don't lean on that too hard, because as we start hemming other things, that gets more complicated. So just don't try to lean on average. We're just trying to lean on where's the happy medium. Okay. So we've got 4 inches seems to be our, it's our mode. If you're a statistics person, we've got 2 4s, right? And then we've got 3 3/4, but we've also got this 3 1/4 here. So don't give up yet. Like, I know it's a lot of math, but it's okay. It gets to be intuitive. So we have 3 3/4, 4 3 1/4, and 4. Now we know that because there's 2 4s, we're gonna lean closer to that. But we've also got 2 that are under 4. So what I would do in this situation is I'm going to go with the 3 3/4, because one, it's always better to go a little under than over, because while not impossible, it's really difficult to put fabric back and it's really not fun. So always cut a little under, because you can always go back and fix that really quickly. So for this one, we're going with 3 3/4 inches. Now, if you're gonna see my kids fighting in the background. All right, so if you're using just a basic ruler, okay, that's gonna be 3 3/4 is right here. But here's the tools that I use if I'm having a good day. Sometimes I also get a piece of paper. So this is a hem gauge. This is it's a what a lot of seamstresses use. You can slide it to show where 3 3/4 is. So that way you're like, oh, well, I need to mark right here where this thingy is. Okay, cool. That's fine. If you like that, that's cool too. Then you have the infamous measuring tape, right? So here's what I like to do. You can take 3 3/4. Hi, Willie. Okay, right there. And then what I'll do is I'll take a clip that I have and I'll mark right here. Hi, baby boy. 3 3/4, just like that. And then that's what I'll use to mark, and I'll show you the marking process in just a second. Now, if you're also like, I have nothing, okay, like I literally just grabbed this. This is a piece of trash. Okay. If you're like, if you look at your pants and you're like, okay, I would like it to be this much shorter from here to here, literally just use that to mark. Like, I know sewing is seen as this very illustrious and magnificent skill that's supposed to be like people, and I appreciate it. I appreciate that y'all tell me it's magic, but like literally, you can do a professional job with that. So don't beat yourself up if you don't have the right tools. Okay, so now we know our measurement. Join the pant, Willie. And then you're gonna fight with your cat because they want to play with whatever you're doing. All right, so once you have your measurements, you can take your pins off. If you're doing this for a customer, measure twice, because there's nothing worse than having that oh shit moment, because you don't know how accurate it was when maybe you just weren't thinking, or maybe it was just, you never know where your brain is. We're human and we have hard days. 2 things: mark both legs, so that way once you take the pins out of one, you have a backup. And 2, write it down, because if you don't, it's going to float out of your head the second you have to go to the bathroom, or somebody texts you, or somebody calls you. Trust me on this one. Now, this is a cool tool that I made, and it's not difficult to use. It's super cheap. This is just a little quilting board that you can get at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, or I would say Amazon, but I don't want to shop at Amazon. I don't want to shop at any big box place, but Amazon is like the last of the list of places I want to shop at. This is $5, right? And then on this side, it's just scrap fabric. And then underneath, it's quilt bedding. And then inside is a piece of cardboard. So literally a piece of trash. And then this is an excellent tool because I'll show you why. All right. You can also use, I moved it, hang on. If you're a quilter or someone who really is into the mathematical side of sewing, you can use one of these. You can stick it up in the leg and use it that way. Basically what we want is we just want a slippery surface that lays our pants flat. If you have just a piece of cardboard or like a folder or a, something, that's fine. Make it up. It is okay. No one's going to yell at you. This is a safe space. All right, so we're going to stick it on in there. Right? Oh, nope. First, we're going to turn the pants inside out. I was like, I think I'm missing a step. Yes, we're going to turn the pants inside out. Have I marked pants and then realized I did it all backwards? Yes. And you will probably do that too. Willie, I love you, but you're in the shop. And you know what? Laugh at yourself because at least you're trying. At least you're learning. All right, so turn your pants inside out. Now we'll mark them. All right, now take your slippery surface. And I will make a video that for us to make one of these because it's super stupid simple and cheap and it's such a great tool. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're going to mark, nope, sorry, I've been a while since I've done a hem. We're not going to mark, that's a different hem. We're going to fold it like this, like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use pins. Now, I know, you're like, you said I didn't need anything but my sewing machine, jeans. Okay, that's, breathe. This is like when you get to start doing this a lot. If you don't have anything, we can guesstimate, it's all good. Like, if there's anyone in your life who's measuring your pants hems or your inseam and criticizing you for it, we may need to reevaluate that relationship because that's not a healthy relationship. All right, now these are glass head pins. I'm gonna try to get a close up for you guys if it will. I'm not sure if it'll or if it'll zoom in. If not, it's not a huge deal. So I'll show you this, the big one. Okay, this is my goodies box. All these pins that are sitting on top of it are glass head pins. So the beauty of glass head pins, they are not the most sturdy pins in the world. I don't use them except for hems because they will fold like a sad tortilla chip. So unless it's a hem, I don't use it because my sewing machine will eat them. But for this, I will. The good thing about glass head pins is that you can iron on top of them and they will not melt. I have ruined an iron because I didn't realize that pins like these yellow ones right here, okay, I didn't know they melted and I ruined an iron, okay, but like I was a baby seamstress and I had no idea what I was doing. I was just trying it out. It's fine. Glass head pins are where it's at when it comes to hems. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our selected tool of choice. It doesn't matter. I'm honestly wanting to just use this piece of paper because I want to just show everybody you can do it with a piece of paper. Okay, so here's 3 1/4. I'm very rebellious, as you will find out as we do these videos. Okay, so 3 3 3/4. There's fuzz. Okay, so that's right there. Okay, so literally gonna do this with trash because you can. So what we want to do is we want to make sure this hem is 3 1/4. Now I realize with fringe it's gonna vary a little bit, and yeah, it's fine because this is not for anybody. This is for me, and it's fine. Okay, so I am taking this bottom part. I'll see if I can get a little closer for you guys. There we go. All right, so I'm going to measure, and then once I get that to the length that I want, I'm going to take a little glass head pin. I'll stick him up in there, like so, and then I'll keep going. Now, this is completely seamstress's choice. You can go all the way around 1 inch at a time, but I was taught to do it at the seams, or near the seams at least. So that way you get a little bit more even distribution and you don't have your fabric walk quite as much. So, take my trash. And then if you get to it and you're like, oh, it's too long, all you gotta do is pull this fabric back like this. Just pinch it and pull it back with your thumb. And then get it to the length you need. And then we're going to pin it. I don't know why I'm pinning up there because I just worked on a prom dress all day, that's why. When you work on dresses and you go back to hems, your brain is like, I forgot how to sew. Alright, so from here, we're going to go every few inches. If you want to, like, I've seen seamstresses, like, keep cutting it in half. Like, they're like, okay, here's half of this and half of that. Which is fine. If that's your jam, do that. I don't care that much. Like, I'm not a process person. I do whatever I feel in the moment, which is why my process changes every single time. Otherwise I get bored. Alright, lay this guy flat. Get back in there. Get back in there. Alright. We're going to check this right there. Perfect. The great thing about this little contraption is that you can iron on it, which is nice. It's very nice. Because you don't have to, go all the way with all your stuff to the ironing board. You can just bring your iron to you. I am completely of the mind that sewing is not a posh or highbrow art that only people who can afford it can do. I think it's a life skill that we should have been teaching in schools, and we very conveniently were stopped being told how to do that. And it's just kind of a skill for everyone to have, no matter your age, gender, whatever. Because you save so much money when you learn how to do all this stuff. And you don't need fancy tools. Do fancy tools make it easier? Yes. But you don't need them. You can hand sew an entire dress if you needed to. And we'll get to that. I am completely against gatekeeping or any time of shaming when it comes to sewing. Like, it's something everyone should be able to have access to. And it's not like these are government secrets, like, dear Lord. These are all skills that have been around forever. Alright, so if you're confused at all at what I'm doing, I'm just going to reiterate. I'm just going around every inch or so, putting a pin, and then I'm making sure, because I marked this, the end of this, with this mark right here as 3¼ inches. So I line up my fabric right here, and then I make sure that my edge is on this little dot right here. Let's see if I can get you guys even a little closer. There we go. Now, and again, it's a different perspective when you're doing it for a client. If I'm doing this for a client or a professional video, what I'm producing, am I going to use all the proper tools? Am I going to use trash? No. But it's my stuff, and I also want to show you guys that it's accessible to anybody. And if you need to learn how to make some quick cash, alterations are a great gig. And I can't possibly do everybody's alterations. I have too much stuff as it is right now. So if I can make some more seamstresses, then we can have a whole caboodle of San Angelo seamstresses working on stuff, and then we don't have to keep up with, fast fashion, and people don't have to throw away their clothes into our landfills. We can just get them fixed. It's good for everybody. And it's just a great way to make some side cash if you need it. If you're a stay-at-home mom, sewing's a great option for making a little extra money. Doesn't require you to go out. Doesn't require you to have to deal with people too much. And usually the people I deal with are super, super nice. It's few and far between that I deal with mean people. Usually the mean people are the people who don't like that I share sewing stuff with other people. What can I say? I'm an anarchist, at least in that regard. Give the information to the people. No gatekeeping. Alright, so. Hello, my dear. Alright, so now we've got this all pinned. There we go. So we've got it all pinned. So the next step is to make our new crease. So we're going to do that right now. Let me turn my iron on. Now, again, you're like, Shelby, you didn't say I needed an iron. No, you don't. You don't. We can make do without it. Here's what you're going to do. You can take this and poke yourself a ton of times with this. But you can do what's called finger pressing, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You just go along your new crease, and you just smush. Alright? Just go around and you smush. And you do that 2 or 3 times, around, all the way around, and it starts to make this nice little crease. It's just more time consuming than anything, and when you sew as much as I do, I can't finger press everything. Sorry, my camera gave up. Get up there. Okay. So, again, this has batting in it, so I can iron on this. And my table was donated, so, I'm not trying to keep this nice because I'm going to redo it. This is a wool mat. It also retains heat really well. So, you can just stick that on top. You can also just grab a blanket. Literally any blanket. And it provides just that little padding. Or a towel. Okay. Make it work. We don't have to go to Hobby Lobby and buy $400 worth of stuff to sew. You have to have a sewing machine. I mean, you don't have to. You can hand sew things. But sewing machine is helpful. It's probably the most helpful thing you can get. But after that, it's just really skills. And once you know the skills, you can make up the tools as you go. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just giving this a good steam. You don't have to use the steam. Again, I do this all day and I need to do fast because otherwise I'll cry from sewing all day. That sounds like a weird thing to cry about, but when you don't do anything else, your dream becomes, daunting. So my pins decided to run away. Put them back in there. Get back in there. Get in there. Alright, if you don't have pins, again, just get it roughly to the right spot. Give it a good press with your fingers or with your iron, and then you're good. Again, if you're doing this for yourself, this doesn't need to be professional results, I promise. When's the last time you stood at the supermarket and looked at somebody's hem and were like, I wonder if that's 2 3/4 inches on that side, and then maybe you have a 3.5 inch on the other side? Okay, if anyone's doing that, they're just telling on themselves. Alrighty. So now we have our new crease. It's so pretty. So we can take our pins out now. And however you want to relocate your pins, it changes for me every single project. Some projects I'm like, let me put it exactly right back into the pin cushion so that way I don't have to clean up. And then sometimes when I'm working on prom dresses, I'm literally just pulling them out and flinging them on the table. It's just, there's never a right or wrong way. Just as long as you don't stab yourself or others. All right, so next step. Here we go. So we have the first step done. We have measured all the way around. And however much you want, I'm using my piece of trash here. For 3 3/4 is what I'm doing. So I've got 3 3/4 measured all the way around. So that's what I want to cut off. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to fold this guy under, right? Okay, because really the rule of professional sewing is you don't want raw edges. Now, ask me if my ball gowns that I make for myself have raw edges. Yeah, they do. Now, does that mean I'm a terrible seamstress? Does that mean I'm a terrible person? No. I'm just telling you what traditional sewing standards are. I don't ever do that for clients, but I would be a liar if I'm like, never, ever, ever leave a raw edge. You know what? Sometimes my brain is dead and I just have to. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to go around and we're just basically cutting this in half. So, nope, hang on. That's for a cup. Just kidding. You can do it like that. JK. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut a little low. Basically, you can do it like that if you want to. You can just do this and go all the way around. This is how I do a lot of prom dresses. To give them their dainty rolled hems. I was like, this looks awful like a rolled hem. So you can do it like this, but if you're like, Shelby, that's a lot of fabric, and that kind of looks like a reverse cuff, and it kind of will be. If you don't want it and you want a more standard approach, then this is what we're going to do. We're going to let the cat sit there. Okay. Now comes the marking part. If you're just doing the tuck and pin, that's cool, do it. This is that's totally valid. If you want to do the pretty professional way, then this is how you do it. For some reason my screen moved up. There we go. Okay, so what I do is do an inch or half inch, depending on how you want it. Usually what I'll do is if somebody brings me their jeans and it's got a pre-existing hem, I'll measure it and I'll replicate that. But I also have people who are like, I want this exact size hem, which, good on you, know what you want. For instance, this hem, which is a Euro hem, but you can still see the original hem, this has just a teeny tiny 3/8 hem. Okay, so there's not a there's not a right way. Okay, the right way is it is stuck under there somewhere, so that way you're not tripping over your pants. That's really it. You can staple them, and that works. It just doesn't feel very nice. All right, so for me, if I am just making it for myself and or doing a hem for somebody, I will do a 1 inch hem. That's pretty standard. That's what you see most of the time. Now, what we need to do, this is where it gets a little tricky, so just bear with me. Bear with me. Remember, there is a record button that I have, and there's going to be playback. So, if you don't get this, we can watch it again. Not a big deal. It's just, hold on. Okay, so we need 1 inch, right? What we need to do is we need to double that to 2 inches. Okay, we got that? Because we're going to tuck it under. But we also need to leave a little bit more room. Like a few hairs. So that way, the little space, this is really getting into professional stuff here. The little space, the little 4 threads that are the rollover get considered. Okay, so for this, and I was taught at a 1/8 inch. Okay, Like, no customer is going to come up to you and be like, oh, I wanted a 2 inch or a 1 inch hem, and it is 1.00367 inches. Ma'am, no, no one's going to do that. Okay, so we're fine. So, here, just to reiterate, we're doing a 1 inch hem. Okay, so it's going to end up looking like this. This right here. Now, so we're doubling it, moving it to 2, and then we're adding 1 inch for the little, 1 inch, 1/8 inch for the little rollover. Okay? So, don't panic if you're like, I still don't know what that means. Just watch. It's okay. So we're going to mark to do this, right? Because um, we have a cut line, and we also have a line for where our rollover is supposed to be. Okay? So, first we're going to do the little inch. Okay? We're going to come over here. And this is not our cut line. This is not our cut. This is our hem line. All right? So, you can use anything. If you're working on your jeans, like a Sharpie is fine, a gel pen, a marker, like it's jeans. They're not going to show up. Anything you got works. For this, because I just want you guys to see this, I'm using this little pen that my grandmother gave me. I think you can get it at Hobby Lobby. It's not what I normally use, but it's got 2 distinct colors. It's my girls who I give lessons to um, really love this pen. I think it's because of the colors, but it also like is air dissolvable, so it floats away. You don't have to deal with it, which I get. Okay, so first we're gonna go around. We're gonna stick our little flat piece in there. Okay, and then we're gonna mark the 1 inch. We're gonna mark our 1 inch in blue. Okay, I need to get a new one of these. I'm surprised this one's working. My grandmother gave this to me like in 2013. It's freaking 10 years ago. I don't know how this thing is still working. My girls have used it a lot. This is one of their favorite things, but I think I'm gonna have to get a new one. Okay, so here's what we're doing. And again, I'll see if I can get a little closer for you guys. Let me see if I can get my tripod to unlock. Unlock, come on. There we go. I think one of the funniest things I've seen is I got a new pen from Hobby Lobby, and it says, please open with hand, not mouth. And I'm like, yeah, they completely get their core demographic here. Because look where my lid is right now, in my mouth. And you know what? I think it would be better to make oral safe pens than expect seamstresses to not use their mouth, because 2 hands is not enough to sew. Alright, so we're just going around. I can see a little better. Hi, Willie. Okay. Just gonna keep going around. Now, for this one, I'm just doing this for the sake of, I'm doing it this close for the sake of you guys can see it and it makes sense. But I don't, with this line, the first hem line, I don't ever do it this close because doesn't need to be a precise line. This is what I'm gonna fold on. So I don't really, I maybe will do, I'll probably skip one or the, like, I'll do one here, I'll do one here, as you sew more, you just learn what you need and what you don't need. And you'll take more risks. And you'll learn how to work around your cats who will sit on your stuff. I make sure we're still good. Again, I haven't lost anybody. Alright, we're good. Alrighty. Get back down to the comments so I can see. There we go. Alright. We're just going to go all the way around. If you have a cat like Willie, he will look at you in disapproval because you're shaking the table. Sorry, Willie. Your husband will do stupid stuff behind the camera. Can make you laugh. What? Can you turn the air on? Oh, don't do anything to Bingo. She doesn't deserve that. He's giving Bingo goo goo eyes. Wish you looked at me that way. That's how Willie looks at us. Alright, so now this time we're going around the exact same way. What I've done is I just moved it back. Let me show you guys. Okay, so same thing, just to reiterate. Okay, here's our 1 inch. This is what it's going to look like when we're done. And then, and this is a little higher because I did it above. It's fine. Promise. Okay, so now we're going another inch. So we're up to 2 inches, and then we give ourselves 1/8 of an inch to turn it under. So now, and we're putting this little doodad right here. And then, or you can do it the other way. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want. And then you're going to mark it. This is going to be our cut line. Okay, so this is our hem line right here. And then this, I'm going to try to draw some scissors here. This is our cut line. There you go. This is water soluble. It'll go away, although I don't care. My work pants are all dirty anyway and painted on. So the purple line is what we're going to cut. Capiche? If you're like, no, Shelby, no capiche. I don't understand. It's cool. It's cool. It takes some time. And don't worry, it's not the first time or the last time I'm going to teach this. I'm going to make, a YouTube video that's all nice and proper. And then I'll do more live events on the same thing. And then I'll make, like, a worksheet for those of us who prefer, text-based learning. I was a teacher. I gotta use my skills somewhere, or I will go insane. Okay, my pants are twisting too many times. Which is usually fine, but somebody's laying on my pants. Very good, very good. Almost there. Almost there. Come on. Now, on this cut line, I will cut a little closer, and if it's particularly slippery material, because this hem will work on just about any pants, we're just doing jeans today, because I wanted to show you the different styles. This is fine because this doesn't walk very much. It's got a lot of friction, and by walk, I mean as you work with it, it moves. Like, the bottoms will go one direction, the top goes the other direction. Okay. With canvas or jeans or any type of rough material, it's not very, it doesn't walk very much because it's sticking to itself. Now, if you're doing any type of slippery garment, like at some points I just use my grandmother's trick of putting washable glue on it to stick it together because that shit will drive you crazy and make you scream and make you never want to sew again. So, don't worry about that too much. Now, so to kind of compensate for that, this is fine, but I just go ahead and connect the dots. And it doesn't need to be pretty, it just shows me generally the line. Like so. So that way I have a continuous cutting line. If you're like, dude, I don't need that, don't use it. Sewing is about finding what you need, not but doing what some moody teacher tells you to do. We are the hippie sewers. Alright, so now find any type of hinged cutting device. Stay away from pocket knives because I know we're all in West Texas and everyone's going to pull out a pocket knife. Don't do that. Okay, get scissors. Even if they're like your kid's scissors, that's better. Okay, now, these are professional sewing shears, which I said earlier. This is overkill for this, but I don't. After a prom dress, I have like 18 pairs of scissors, and I have no idea where anything but this is. I have to clean up. So, here's where we're going to start. We're not going to cut into it because particularly if you're sewing for a client, if in the off chance you mismeasured, you need to be able to sew this sucker back on. And if you cut it like this, it was going to change. It's just going to be a nightmare. Okay, don't do that. Here's what you're going to do instead. We're going to pinch like so. And we're going to remove Willie's hair from the garment. We're going to pinch just like that. And then we're going to take our scissors. I'm making this way too difficult. I'm trying to make it where you can see it. And we're just going to cut. Okay? So now we have this little hole. And then we're going to cut on the line. Now, when we're doing this, remember our cutting line, we cut on the cutting line. Okay? Because I know some of us are going to be like, I cut under the line, I cut on top of the line, and then the very analytical like me are going to be like, but this line is thick, where on the line do I cut? Just, okay, in the middle, pick somewhere. It's not that big of a deal. I know, we all have our own way of looking at it, but you want to cut through the line. Just try to hit it. Ta-da! Alright, and then you have this wonderful hoop-de-doop that is going to go in your scrap drawer or on top of your cat. And if by some crazy reason you mismeasured, you can always reattach it. And it really is on my cat, but he's just happy to be here. Now, what I was saying like 30 minutes ago, we're going to do that now. If you did what I said the first time, you start tucking under, like, go get a snack. Go relax until we get to the sewing portion. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We are going to turn this under, and we're going to try to meet this to that little crease line that we made. Okay, so let me color that in so you can see it. Alright, so our hemline, right, is blue. So here's where we made our crease. Yes? Okay, there's where we made our crease. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our cut line and we're going to meet them like that. Ta-da! Alright, and then, we're not done yet. Then we're going to roll it up. Okay, so our crease is still the end of the garment. And now your hemline that we marked in blue is going to be where the rollover is. Then you're going to take a pin again and you're going in it. Now, this again is seamstress's choice. And I say seamstress, and it's a gender neutral term because sewer in all the boy versions of seamstress sound dumb. All our modistes out there, that's what we're gonna say. Yes, I'll take these off for you. Okay, so we're gonna roll it under and pin. Now, here's what we gotta think about. What I said was sewer's choice, seemed whatever. The sewing person's choice. So you're going to sew traditionally. Here's how you do it. You're gonna flip it over and you're gonna sew on top. Okay, because on your sewing machine, the straighter stitch is your top stitch. Now, if you're sewing for yourself and you're like, I don't care that the bobbin stitch is slightly crooked, then all power to you. Pin it like this and sew it on the inside. Okay, so that way you don't like scream in frustration. Now, if you're doing it professionally, you want the pretty stitch to be on the top. We want to do a good job. So what I will do is I will just pin it around loosely. By that I mean I will tuck it under like a thole, and I will pin just enough so that way most of this raw edge is tucked under. Get out of here. Okay. Ta-da! Huzzah! Alright. Now what I'll do, because when I sew pants, I sew on the top. Not my pants, when I sew everybody else's pants, I sew on the top. So, these are pinned, right? I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back inside out, right side out, after I remove the cat from the garment. Okay, and if you have this all pinned, and I have done this dozens of times, if you have this all pinned and you try to turn it out, that's gonna hurt. But if you only have like 4, 5, 6 pins in there, it's not gonna poke you. Well, I'm basically turning these into capris. I didn't realize they're so short. That's okay. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we've just kind of made these baseline pins, but I'm gonna go ahead and put them on the outside now. So I'm gonna hold that spot that I just took the pin out of, and I'm going to pin it on the other side, like that. Right, so everywhere I have a pin, I'm just gonna pinch, and I'm gonna put that pin on the outside. That rando, I'm just gonna put him right there. This way, when I try to pull out my pins from my sewing machine, it's not like I'm trying to reach under there and grab the pin. Let's see, I have one right here. And here's a good spot to look at. So I had a pin here and here, but there's a gap here. I don't want to just leave that gap that you can see because it's going to walk. Because it's too much fabric that's not pinned down. So what I'll do is I'll get on the inside, right? And then I'll tuck it under where it needs to be. And then I'll start by putting a pin in the middle of that. And then I'll look and I'll be like, do I need more pins? This is also seamstresser's choice. Okay? If these are my pants, I'm going to be like, yeah, that's fine. If it's a customer's pants, I'm going to be a little more diligent and I'm going to put pins at least at every inch, if not closer. You do what makes you comfortable. So same thing here. We see that we have a pin here that I've already flipped, and this one's not flipped. So I'm going to pinch it, and I'm going to go to the front. And then we've got that much space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the inside. I'm going to make sure, because see, it's not quite all down on that line. So I'm going to roll it in, get it nice. And your crease will help keep it there. That's why you spend time making a good crease. Your crease is a tool, it's not a... I'm not going to teach you guys stupid waste of time steps. And then if you want, you can pin in the middle of that. I like halving things because it helps, particularly when you're trying to account for allowance and when you're trying to ease in, maybe like if the bottom of your pants was a little bigger than higher up, it lets you ease it in without you having to like evenly distribute the fabric consciously. It just naturally does it. All right, so now, oh, let me get more pin over there. Willie, I promise we'll cuddle after this. He looks very sad. Good boy. Okay, so now we have our pins all the way around. We are ready to sew. I'm going to show you something that I don't know if this is frowned upon. I don't really care if it's frowned upon. I feel like quilters do it, but like seamstresses are like, oh, ugh, ugh. Okay, I'm gonna show you just like this is an option. I don't do this because, well, I do. Okay, I take it back. I will do this if I'm doing something serious like a wedding dress. I will do this the entire way because I want to make sure that that is like, you're paying me thousands of dollars to make a dress. You better believe I'm gonna make sure that that's correct all the way around. When I'm doing a $20 alteration, like I can gauge an inch. And this is just hanging off of you. It's not going to affect how you move. So I don't need to be that precise. So, little different options. I'm going to show you guys some of my other pins that I got. All right. Move. This is a Dritz chalk pin. I like this one. Of course, I grabbed the white one. Okay. Don't help me. These have little chalk pieces in them. You're not going to do this if you're doing it professionally. Okay? Because you don't, when the general rule is when you're doing something professionally, you don't mark on the outside. Okay, these are our pants, and it's fine. Now, so I'm just going to show you guys. This is what the chalk pen looks like. Right there, okay? And that does wash out. This is I wanted to call it a heat sinking gel pen, but that's not what it's called. So it's a gel pen, and these are very vibrant. And it comes in red, black, white, and blue. I wish it came in pink because that would be nice. I like pink. And I'll show you guys. Let me turn the heater. Let me turn the iron on real quick. This will go away when heat is applied to it. Now, this is why we don't do it on the outside. You'll notice that even though heat is applied to this, if you look in the right light, there's a little faint mark. So I don't do that. And then the last one I'll show you, this is actually a quilter's trick, and these are not even sewing pins. This is just what they use, okay? So these are Pilot friction pins. I have them in all the colors, and they will use these to mark their 1/4 inch lines. You can have a really cool tool that, like, if you really want to get into sewing, it's like one of my top 10 recommended tools to start with. It's a 1/4 inch marker, and like both sides are a 1/4 inch, and I'm just gonna mark on this because I'll take it off in a second. And you can mark in 1/4 inch segments. This is awesome. I love this thing, and it also gives you these little angle changers. I love it so much. Now these, okay, they're friction pins. You can get most of the mark off by using the little friction eraser thing. Now, again, it doesn't all come off, but like The rest will come off in the wash. But that's also why we don't do it on professional stuff. On your stuff, go for it. Okay, so because it's easier to see on the camera, I'm going to use we're going to use the friction pen so you can see it. All right, so in order to make this work, we need to not stab ourselves. We need to make sure that we're sewing in like close enough to the edge that we're catching this. Okay, now we're doing a pretty wide hem, so it's fine. When you get to the hems that are like this close, it gets to be a little frustrating, particularly if you have fabric that's walking. Hi, Bean. Welcome to the chat. Bean. This is not the Bean Show. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, because I know I have an inch inside, I'm going to do 7/8 inch mark. And this is marking your stitch line is what I call it. And yes, real seamstresses mark their stitch line. I said 7, not 6. Okay. So what I did is, so I know that I can feel it. I'll show you guys. Okay, so here, right there, that's the end of the fabric, right? If I sew past this line, right there, okay, then it's not going to pick this up. And then my pants are going to fall apart. Okay, we need to make sure we're sewing inside right here. Okay, so since I know this is an inch, Bean, we're not reenacting the Lion King. Okay, so I know that's an inch, so I'm just going to scoot this in to 7/8 inch because I don't want to make it too far. Otherwise, I'm going to have this weird flap on the inside of my leg, and that is a neurodivergent person's nightmare. And we will just walk around pantsless rather than having to deal with that. So I've got 7/8 inch. Hey, that was pretty close when I marked it over there. The more you sew, the more you just instinctively know measurements, and you'll never understand why. It's like my mom just knows all the directions, even if she's in a blackout room and blindfolded. You spin her around and she'll still be able to point to northwest, and I'll never understand that. That's kind of what you'll develop with measurements. It's not a very sexy skill. Like, you can't go to a party and be like, hey, I know that straw is 3/8 inch in diameter. Like, it's not a sexy skill, but you will be impressed when you're doing it yourself and you're like, hey, I knew that was right. I see you. I know it's impressive. All right, now this is helpful if you want to try hand sewing, which we'll get into those classes. We may do those in May because I haven't scheduled May yet. In June, it's all about wedding dresses. We'll be doing wedding dress mania classes in June. July, I am taking off part of it. We were going to take off all June, but then our wedding plans got changed a little bit because flats are expensive. We haven't decided what to do for that and into the fall, but June is for sure wedding dress tutorials. And if you want to learn something, you're like, hey, I saw this on YouTube. Can we do this? Yes, the answer is yes. Just DM me or text me or send me a letter in the mail. I don't care. Just find someone to get hold of me. Call Andrew. Send a cat. That's the best way. Please send a little rolled up piece of paper on a cat. That will get my attention. So marking your stitch line is super helpful if you're, I find it's more helpful for people with ADHD because, we'll start thinking about other things or we're just not good with understanding either time or distance. So, especially when it's moving. So for me, it's not helpful to try to be real precise and use something like the gauge that I'll show you in a second. particularly since that fabric's laying on top of it. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. There's several tools you can use, but using like marking your stitch line, which I actually picked up from quilting. I've never seen a seamstress do this, like, ever. It might be heresy. I don't know. I don't really care either. Sewing blasphemy. But anyway, it's helpful for when it gives your eye and your hands a target when you're not having to actively, consciously think about it, which is helpful for us ADHDers. And then if you're hand sewing, and again, it's at the roundabout way to get to all this. For hand sewing, this makes it a lot easier because it's impossible to just sit and hand sew, and you're also flipping the fabric back and forth. It's very easy to get off the line. And, like, don't put that pressure on yourself to have to make a straight line and you're having to just pull it out of your butt. You can just mark it. Particularly when it's something that gets washed off. And I love these friction pins because they come in all the cute colors. And they're also good for writing on paper. They're just a great utility tool. And they actually do, like, erase off paper, unlike the lies of the erasable pins I was fed as a kid. It's like, great. I can see everything I wrote and erased. It's just slightly lighter. Okay. Oh, Willie has returned. He knows we're about to sew. Okay, now we're transitioning to our sewing machine, right as Willie sits down. Alright, so since we're transitioning a little bit, make sure you take a break, eat something real quick, pop something in your mouth, remove the cats from your table. Oh, I'm sorry, did I scare you? I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry, I promise we'll cuddle so much after this. We really will. I know, I'm sorry. We're all grateful for you sacrificing your cuddle time. 50 más minutos?
¿Una hora? ¿50?
No, no. 15?
¿15 minutos?
Sí, más o menos. Es un última, whatever step is. Yes. I gotta practice my Spanish because now we're going to Merida in July. I've gotten a lot better, but I gotta practice again. I did pretty well last time. Okay, so I'm gonna sew this. There you go. Now you can see me. I'm gonna sew this in pink thread so you can see it a little easier. Let me see if there we go. Okay. Plus, I really like, and again, this is controversial, but I feel like that's the only gene that I have. Is I like to use contrasting colors on hems or just for decoration. Like on my Persephone dress, I just randomly chose to outline the boning with gray thread instead of black. It's black fabric. I think it looks cool. So if you have a different color and you don't have the right thread, there is no law that the sewing police are not going to show up to your house and be like, it's not the right thread. And if they do, say, go home, Grandma. I don't care. It's 2023. My grandmother would never do that. Because she does the exact same. She taught me to just use a different color. I'm talking about other grandmothers that I have. Alright, so when we're starting, I'll show you guys. Let me see if I can pick this up. I think we're charged enough. Okay, so we are starting on the seam Particularly now, this needle that I have is a pretty stout needle. It's an organ needle that it's a heavy duty organ needle, and it's from Mexico. All my sewing supplies from Mexico are way better. They first of all they were a tenth of the price, and they all last a lot longer and are better quality. So, um, this one is a super heavy duty needle that I was using earlier to put boning in. It will cut through your jeans really easily. When you're doing your jeans, it's better for your machine to use a jeans needle. It's just a little thicker, and it's just going to pierce it a little better. Um, Now, if you use a regular needle on your jeans, is it going to kill your machine? No. I don't expect most of you sew for 10 hours a day on your machine, so you don't need to be worrying about things like that yet. When we get there, we'll talk about it. Alright, so we want to start on the seam, and we want to start towards the back, because if we're going to mess up, let's mess up in the back so we don't have to look at it. Alrighty, so we're going to use our hand wheel probably, because your seams on your denim are just stupid thick, and you can hammer them if they're not cooperating. So I back stitch twice, and now we're very simply, if you can see me right there, let's see if I can get a little closer, in a little better angle. Like, all I'm doing is I'm following this line that we drew with the pink, and when I wash it, it's gonna come out. And guess what? My bobbin thread doesn't even match. Now, you don't have to go this fast. Again, I've been doing this all day, so I know the I just can do it automatically. You can go slow. And if you're feeling like it's a little fast, particularly if you have something like a Brother machine, I have a Burnett machine that thinks that it's apparently its engine was destined to be like a 747, and it got stuck in a sewing machine, so you hit the pedal and it like yeets your jeans across the room. Okay, you can get an alternative pedal, because that was my biggest frustration when I was learning, was like, unless you have a machine that's like, this is a 1983 Bernina, and she's beautiful and I love her so much. She's also $1,000. Now, I suggest if you can get one, do that, because this is honestly a much better machine to learn on. Now, everyone can't do that. So if you need to learn on the $60 Target machine, I learned on the $60 Target machine. Or if you need to go to a thrift store, find one on Facebook Marketplace, like, that's fine. Now, what you can do is, for instance, my serger. Let me pull this off right quick. Come here. Ow. I step on all the trash I've thrown on the floor. Okay. My serger has a foot pedal that goes into your your $60 Target machines. Okay. Now, the cool thing about this one, and this is why I'll switch this out when I have a lesson, because it's like, why would I want you to feel like you can't control the machine? You're not going to feel successful. That's stupid. This one, it's the same brand. It's the electronic sewing machine speed controllers. Okay. It has this cool little switch right here that lets you control how fast it moves. It has a baby speed and a yeeting speed, okay? And you can move it depending on where you want it. And this will fit into your normal machines. This is the model 4C345B. Okay, put that into Google. This is a great replacement. If you're worried about speed, you don't need to buy a whole new machine. You don't need to buy a $1,000 machine. Just get someone's leftover foot from their serger that they broke on accident. Okay? It will help you, I promise. It helps my girls so much when they're doing their lessons. Hi, Willie. I know, we're almost done, buddy. Okay, so now you can see here, I've got this lump, right? I've got this big seam. Now, if this was a client's, I would take it off and hammer it down and squish it. So that way it'd go in smoother. It's mine, it's fine. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be my new catchphrase. It's mine, it's fine. Okay, so we're just gonna go up to the little seam. Now, eventually, your foot is going to push against the seam and you're gonna be stuck, right? And you're like, great, wonderful. Now what? Okay, so now, raise your little foot up and you're gonna slide the seam up under, put it back down. We're just gonna hand crank that sucker all the way through. Okay, then once you're over it, you may have a little bubbling like I do, but that's also because my pants were not even when I started. Stop it. Stop that right now. Let go of it. I don't accept this. There we go. Okay. That's how you just, when you have a little bit of like a ruffle, if you start letting pins out, that's called easing it in, and the little ruffle will dissipate. Now, sometimes it dissipates until you get to the end of your stitch and you have a little bubble. And if it's yours, we're not going to worry about that. Because, again, if somebody in your life is critiquing the little blip in your jeans, that is somebody that you need to have a hard conversation with. And then for like professional fixes like that, we'll do a whole video on like the stupid shit you deal with when professionally doing alterations. Don't worry about that right now. Okay, so now we're gonna just sneak on up to our seam. This seam seems to be cooperating. That's beautiful. All right, so now we're gonna go over it. We're gonna backstitch again. I'm gonna pull her off. Stop that. Okay. Then we're gonna cut off our little leading strings. Da 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 da. And yeah, if you'll notice, like my bobbin thread didn't even match that, and it's fine. Who's looking at your bobbin thread? If it's yours. It doesn't matter. What weirdo is lifting up your pants and is like, your bobbin thread doesn't match your top thread? That is a comforter size red flag. Alrighty. Oh, we got one more pin. Get out of here. Alright, last step. We're going to finish out and kind of not make it permanent, but make it more permanent for when we wash it. Alrighty, so let's get back on the ironing area. Move all these pins. I also like the wool mat because you can just stick pins into it, and the cats don't run off with them as much when that happens. Sewing with cats is sewing on extreme mode. Alright, here we go. So, now we got our nice hem. It's so pretty. It would be prettier if you guys could see it. Okay. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. Now, what we're going to do is, if you don't have an iron, which is totally fine, take your fingers, take a book, take something that has pressure, squish that thing down, okay? Then you're done. Woo! Throw in the washer, get the marks off, you're done. You have successfully hemmed your jeans. You're done. Now, we're doing the professional way. This is what I'm going to do if I professionally hem your pants. We're going to stick that guy in there with the I don't even know if that's a word. The side that has the ability to be ironed. I'm going to put that up. Okay? Then we're going to get this concoction, which is 1 part RO water. I would recommend, if you live in San Angelo, using H2O's RO water because it's carbon filtered and it performs better, in my experience. Then you're going to use 1 part white vinegar. It's not going to smell great, but it's going to do the job. You're going to spray this sucker. Be generous here. Like, vinegar is like stupid cheap. Don't be stingy with your vinegar. And if you don't have vinegar, you can just put a little water. It's okay. Vinegar is like totally optional. And then you're going to locate your ironing cloth that you used earlier in the day and completely have flung off into the distance. There it is. Ugh. Okay, now I say ironing cloth. Please don't feel like you need to go to Target and buy the labeled ironing cloth, okay? There's no reason. And it's probably not made as well as this. This is a linen dinner napkin that I got 2 for $1 at Concho Confetti. Go get one of these. Don't go buy the $10 ironing cloth. Because it's not going to be as good as this. And why? Don't do that. Save your money. Save your clothes. Just do this. Alright, turn your iron on. And it's Gene, so crank that sucker up. Let it heat up. Do a little dance. Look at the cat. Willie's like, why is there 4 of you on the computer screen? I don't understand this. There are these really cool irons that I saw when I was taking quilting lessons that, like, they lay flat like this, and, like, when you put them down like this and you are done with it, it goes and it raises itself up and turns off. But it always stays hot. And, like, I want one so bad, but they're like $280, and I just am like, I can't. Oh. Like, I've had this Shark. It was like I got it when I, like, graduated high school. And it still works really well. Just because it needs a little extra time, I feel like I can't justify. I'm like, it's fine. Really, that's like a super bougie item. Alright, so this is really going to be on your own personal opinion. Get out of here. If this is a professional one, I'm going to iron it until the vinegar is dry. And you have that polished crease. And it smells like a salad. Hey, look, you can see that you can already tell that the friction pin has completely come off even after just the vinegar. So, I 10 out of 10 recommend the friction pins. And then you're just going to do that all the way around after I've lost my vinegar. I'll take a vinegar. Now, this is what I was talking about before. Your ironing cloth is, I say before, I was talking about it on the live stream earlier. Your ironing cloth does the job of really keeping your fabric that you're trying to apply heat to from being affected. So if I were to, which I don't care because it's my work pants, but like if I do this and I iron on top of the vinegar, there's going to be this weird shiny sheen on here. And like on white, it's not going to matter. And on your work pants, it's definitely not going to matter. But if you have like a nice pair of dress pants or you're doing this for like a uniform, yeah, you're definitely gonna see you're gonna see that shininess, and it's not the best look. So that's why we use the ironing cloth. It just protects things from being chemically changed when we apply heat to them. And then we're just gonna go all the way around, get that nice done. Now you don't need to have the vinegar completely dry. I will, because I'm being paid to do this. But these are your pants, and the vinegar is not going to ruin your pants. And keep your cats away from it, that's for sure. Just give it a nice press. And then you have this nice, beautiful, not seam. I get to a point in the night where like words leave my brain. crease. That's the word. Caprese salad is what my brain was trying to say. No, crease. So now you can see it's just a little more like it's it just looks a little crispier. And like once you throw it in the wash, it will maintain this. Now, if at any point you have pants or anything that you want a crease back in, you can do all of this, okay? Throw some vinegar on there, put your ironing cloth on, heat it up, put that press back in, okay? When I do anybody's work pants, like all I do is fold it over where the crease is supposed to be, put the vinegar in, and then you go. There you got a really good thing. Some places will glue the crease. Oh, I hate that because it makes it so hard to alter. I don't like that, but that's me. Like you don't, if you like it, it's your uniform. Do what you want to do. I find that's harder, and it's not that for me. It's less difficult to just maintain the crease because I have to iron the pants anyway. Like it's not difficult in my process, but you do you. Whatever works for you. I will not be one of those old ladies that make me irritated to take a class with. So, all right, that is it for now. Look how pretty that is. And again, that can be applied to basically any pant. You can even do it with like a jacket, or you can do it with anything that has just this fold over hem. Like if I wanted to do it to this jacket, you just do the same process like this. It works for just about anything that you need this kind of mechanism in place. Now, next week, before you go, we are doing a blind hem, which is what we use for uniforms. So if I get like military uniforms brought to me, or if I get like police uniforms or band uniforms or like flight attendant uniforms, this is what I'm going to use. A blind hem is essentially a hem that is doing just what we did, but it doesn't show through. Okay, so you can't see, whereas here you can see the stitch, right? The pink is the stitch. On a blind hem, you can't see it, thus blind hem. It's also called a hand hem, just depends on who you're talking to. So you can see I've done it in pink, so you could see it, but this is what it will look like after you're finished. You can't see it at all, and that's the goal. This is a little trickier. It is handwork, but it is completely doable, and it's not tricky. It just takes some thinking. Now, this one, the professional way is to serge the ends before you fold it up. I'm not gonna make you do that because a good serger is like at least $4.50 used. So, and I believe in accessibility. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an alternative way that you can do this completely by hand without even having a machine. So that's going to be next week, next Tuesday at 7. That's going to be our regular time. Alrighty, guys. This is going to be recorded as well, or it is recorded. And then it will be posted. So that way, if you missed anything or you came in just in the middle, you can go check out all the steps. Or if you're working on a hem 6 months from now and you're like, oh, we did that like back in the spring, it's going to be on my channel. So feel free to do that. I also have it on my YouTube, which is just Dopamine Dominatrix. Good grief. It's linked on my page. All right, guys, text me questions. Let me know what you want to do next, and I'll see you guys mañana.